You must be the detectives?
You can call me Hanzik.
Kabishi.
You're about to walk into quite a situation, gentlemen. Colton calls us because there's been a break-in. His daughter, Winry, all this stuff around her, things were broken. She didn't remember seeing anyone.
Any one of these men here now has a mighty fine motivation for finding out whatever this mystery might be.
I do hope you're not going to be investigating too enthusiastically, gentlemen. You wouldn't want to rob some hard-working free gentlemen of hard-earned reward money, would you?
Do you think there's a chance this could have been done by Winry herself?
Why would she destroy her own things?
I don't know.
And you are both lucky to not know grief.
Winry knows grief. She has bad dreams, especially since her mother passed. I should warn you, Secretary Colton, he's quite unstable. You've done interviewing my staff. You deem it appropriate to speak to me now?
Definitely leave the talking to me for now. And I'll proceed.
You enter the room and Colton is already sat on a large armchair on wheels behind a writing desk. There's only one chair on your side of the writing desk and every patch of wall available and more shelves within the room itself is full to the brim with books and parchment and records. And on the desk, meticulously organized, you see a set of, it must be at least a dozen quills and inkwells, and in a waste bin at the side of the desk is more than dozens of discarded quills, each of them seeming to be made from large maphile feathers. And there is parchment laid out, ready for writing on the desk. He is leaning against the arm of the chair, his finger and his thumb rubbing gently together, holding the corner of his quite ornate cravat that is almost glowing with iridescence. It's eye-catching, to say the least. Well?
Thank you for seeing us, Mr. Colton. We hope to be able to resolve this situation as soon as we possibly can. I understand this must be quite an anxiety-inducing situation for you.
I certainly hope you are able to do very much so. Anxiety-inducing is, an understatement, don't you think?
Quite right. It is, seemingly quite a catastrophe.
My daughter's life at stake, and Guardians Guild members completely incompetent, allowing an intruder into her room under their very noses.
Quite possibly, sir. We are investigating many options, including those that may suggest that the intruder was occupying the house at the time, rather than entering from the outside.
You think that someone is still in my home as we speak?
It is a theory, sir, and we are investigating. Can we ask, were you present in the house on both occasions that the incidents occurred?
Yes, I was.
And what were you doing?
I was asleep, presuming the diligence of your colleagues, naturally.
At this point, Fodmap makes a very obvious deal of pulling out his own small flip pad of parchment and borrowing a quill from the table.
Excuse me.
begins writing notes.
And Colton stands up and snatches the quill out of your hand. Do you know how much these cost?
Yeah.
Clearly. I presume you have your own writing implement?
Well, yours is ready to go. And I figured your daughter's life.
Excuse my colleague here. He's a practical man. May he borrow your inkwell?
He may not. And he places the quill back in the inkwell and turns it such that it aligns with all of the other feathers in the way that it leans on the lip of the inkwell.
Fodmap politely nods at that and pulls out his own little rock stick, a little bit like graphite, begins scratching away.
Tell me, Mr. Colton, have you spoken much to your daughter since the incidents have occurred?
She's beside herself. She's so terrified she's barely said a word.
Of course. But she is the only person who would have the most information about what has occurred here, and without wanting to distress her too much, we'd like to find out as much as we can about what she knows from others. So if you can impart anything that she may have told you, we'd appreciate that.
She told me that she is very sad that someone has torn up her mother's letters, and that she doesn't understand why anyone would do that. And that she's very scared. That she doesn't know who or what did this. And that she woke to find the kitchen and her room on the respective nights in the state we found them.
I see. I'm guessing Winry hasn't been quite herself since her mother's passing. Safe to say, and of course I offer my condolences. This must have been a very difficult time for the family.
Quite.
Do you know much about the bad dreams she's been having?
Only that they've been keeping her up a fair amount. She dreams of being trapped, being caught, and being unable to escape. Talks of suffocating, of asphyxiation. Terrible business.
Yes, that sounds very traumatic for a child. I'm sorry, I'm not sure anyone's actually said yet. How old is your daughter?
She's 7.
That's too much for someone that young to go through. I'm sorry.
Yes, it is.
Is there any information you think would be pertinent in finding who might have done this?
I have my suspicions about some local ruffians who are always trying to siphon any useful information from my estate. But it just doesn't quite add up. I don't understand. The valuable information has nothing to do with my daughter. And so I can only presume that it's something personal. I don't know what I've done for someone to hate me so. I don't know.
That's quite all right, Mr. Colton. Thank you for your information. I think just now, Kabishi is not going to be able to help himself from staring at this cravat that shines at him. And at a cursory glance, can he decipher whether there is any sort of bright stone technology being used to illuminate this thing in the way that it does?
Roll an Arcana check for me.
Sure. That is a natural 20.
Okay. Throughout this conversation, but especially when he's been feeling more tense or anxious, especially speaking about his daughter, his fingers have found their way up to a little corner of the cravat and are running the smooth material between his finger and his thumb. And as he does that, and it ripples the folds of the fabric, sure enough, there is a light not just reflecting but illuminating from within this cravat. It looks like it's made of mostly some kind of silk, but there is a very thin lace of iridescent thread zigzagging up and down within it. And you are certain that such a light could only come from a thread infused with or made of some form of bright stone.
I'm, sorry to, segue like this, but, I can't help but noticing the glow of your cravat there. It's quite a unique item. Where did you get it?
It was, I presume a gift intended for me by my wife.
You presume?
It came with what was left of her luggage. She was traveling when she passed, and this was with her belongings and brought back here only last week.
I see. It's very beautiful.
She was very thoughtful and had an eye for such things.
Do you mind me asking how she passed?
A very sudden and wretched illness overcame her. She had been traveling to see some family in Schwarzuna and fell ill before attempting to make the journey home, and only made it as far as Brujama.
I'm so sorry. Well, unless my colleague has anything he'd like to ask.
I'm sorry for your loss. Sincerely.
I'd prefer your assurance that I'm not about to suffer another.
best to ensure that. This, and I am sorry to ask, this here luggage, when did it arrive? Exactly?
Only last week.
And who brought it here?
Some couriers we had employed to bring my wife's belongings. It took some time. They had the Healers Guild look over her belongings to make sure that there was no contagion to be found. They had to unfortunately damage a few things. There was a pillar we had to restuff that my daughter has kept by her side ever since. And a few things squeezed into a smaller suitcase to save on space. It was mostly just her clothing and accoutrements.
Is your daughter in her room right now?
She is in her nursery. Her room is still cordoned off.
Good.
She's likely to stay in one of the guest rooms this evening with her nanny alongside her.
If it's okay, I think we'd like to investigate it as a scene of an incident now.
And then no. Later, with your blessing, talk to Winry.
If she is willing to speak with you, then be at your leisure to do so.
Thank you. Oh, you have our assurance we will have the utmost sensitivity towards her feelings at this time. Thank you, Mr. Colton. We'll be seeing you shortly.
I hope I have more reason to thank you shortly also.
Aye, sir. You will. And he reaches out his hand.
Colton just nods.
Respecting that, Fodmap does try to take a good look at the hands of Shanna. Nonetheless, do they seem worked like a scribe's hands might? Do they seem picked or blistered?
Roll a perception check for me, please.
18.
An 18. His hands are, at a glance, mostly clean, but in the ridges of his fingerprints and even along the sides of his fingers, there's a dark ink stain that seems to be almost all over his hands. This is a man who spends most of his life writing. His fingernails are clipped short and well kempt, and you see no signs of any struggle or bruising or anything of the sort.
He steps back and begins to leave.
Kabishi does the same.
If you need a better writing implement, I'm sure we could find something from the Maphile ranch out back.
Thank you, but I'm not sure if I could afford it.
Kabishi furrows his brow and shakes his head at this comment from Fodmap. but with a gentle hand on his back, moves forward towards the door, back into the large entrance hall.
As you do so, you would begin to hear the scratching of quill on parchment behind you. To close the door.
Aye. And pull the door to.
Mastiff has been standing on the lowest step of the stairwell, near the door, has clearly been listening in, and has raised eyebrows, looking at you both expectantly as you come to as the door closes.
Hello, Mastiff.
Oh, that went well, huh?
Yes, it did.
Good. Yeah.
You heard the conversation then?
A bit, yeah, a bit.
And what are your thoughts, Mastiff, on the situation?
I mean... forgive me, I presume you've got your own ideas, having spoken to him. He's not all there.
He's beside himself with worry and, frankly, grief. So, a certain amount of, not all there-ness is to be expected.
And unlike you or your men, he noticed when two strange men entered his house, so...
Right. I'll see how it is. Well, time will tell, won't it?
And I am not trying to cause offense there, Mastiff, but...
I'll do my job, you do yours. It's all right.
For the time being, yes.
You want to see the girl?
We'll take a look, if that's alright, Fodmap, with her room first.
Sure things. Top of the stairs. Door on the back wall on the right.
Aye, thank you. And we, sort of give a respectful nod to Mastiff as I head on up the stairs.
And as Fodmap does, he asks, and will you be joining us this time?
I've had my look. I'm gonna keep at my post. You do your job, I'll do mine.
And some loud footsteps up the stairs again, as the weight of this large armored man walks on past.
Sure enough, at the top of the stairs, there's a similar layout of doors around the edge of a rectangular room, but this time with the banister overlooking the dining table below as the central feature of the room. There are less doors, implying that there are maybe a few less larger rooms in the footprint of the upper floor. There is the door, as Mastiff pointed you to your right, near the corner of this upper balcony, and another 4 doors. Another one in the wall in front of you, 2 behind you, but on the left-hand side of the wall, around the staircase, and another 2 on the right-hand side, on the other side of the banisters that set up the central viewing hole.
Are any of them ajar?
Only the door to Winry's room is currently ajar.
And is there anyone guard at its door?
There is an armored Guardians Guild member, a monstrum gentleman, stood there, somewhat shorter and heavier set than Colton himself.
And from this viewpoint, are any of the other doorways obvious as to which room they may lead to? Are there any adornments or decorations that may imply it's a nursery or the master chamber?
You would guess that the door directly ahead of you, made of a slightly darker wood and a more ornately decorated brass handle and locking mechanism. Something to do with the master of the house, perhaps the bedroom, perhaps another study. Then there's Winry's room, and the next door along on the right-hand wall has some paints and maybe a form of crayon scribbled along the bottom half of the door, signifying nursery.
I would immediately make my way over towards the guard at Winry's room door.
He stands up straighter as you walk up to him.
Hello, Royal Council Guardians. Okay if we take a look inside?
Yes, of course, we've been told to expect you.
Great. Thank you.
And he steps aside with a little more pomp and ceremony than is necessary.
Have you taken a look inside yourself?
I've had a glance, sir, yes.
Any thoughts?
It's a real mess.
Okay.
And when did you start your shift, Tad?
Just this morning, I was called in because, apparently the person who was keeping watch here last night was, violently dismissed by the Lord of the Secretary of the House.
I see.
And do you intend to let anyone else through this door?
Absolutely not, sir.
Good.
Kabishi will just step on through into the room.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Will do.
What do we see?
As you step into the room, there's a plush white fur rug at the end of a pretty ostentatious and florally decorated lace bedding set on a far larger than for a 7-year-old child as necessary bed. But the blankets are bunched and twisted at the bottom of the bed. The rug is folded up on itself, and there's barely a square foot of floor that doesn't have some form of debris. Some of the wooden bed frame has been scratched and ripped at. The toys that you presume once were along the shelves and tucked neatly on the ottoman at the end of the bed are thrown everywhere. There's a small writing desk with a set of fold-out mirrors, you presume that were once on top of it, that are smashed and strewn alongside it. The little stool toppled over. The drawers all pulled out and strewn along the floor in front of it. And a small walk-in wardrobe in which small fitting clothes have been ripped from hangers and tossed into a pile at the foot of the doorway.
Kabishi shakes his head at this sight. Lets out a heavy sigh.
Aye. Shame.
I think you may be gathering together a similar theory to myself at this point.
I think you might.
The only question is why the girl... I know she's grieving, but why would she do this? I mean, it's a lot.
And also how. And again, Fodmap starts, not recklessly, but almost flippantly, like picking up some of the debris, checking its weight, half pretending to break it, sort of almost getting into mood and imagining the size and strength required to shift all of this around.
Roll an insight check for me, Fodmap.
Yeah, this time is this sight of so easily to see once a beautiful child's room. So just disrespectfully kept as upsetting and anger-inducing for Fodmap all at the same time. So he will actually use one of his superiority die and add it onto his insight check. Which combined would make it a 15 off of a 2 on the D20.
With a 15, this level of vandalization, especially on some of the furniture, would require quite some intent. Not necessarily a level of strength that is impossible for even a small person, but the intent and the drive, especially to keep it up for what equates to nearly everything that could be picked up or damaged in this entire room, is almost unfathomable. Something inhumane. Something inhumane would have to drive this kind of destruction.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Kabishi. In my tried, it would take me half an hour at least to do all this. I think a kid could do it, yeah. But I'm not being heard or seen.
Or at least to do it so quickly before anyone could get a look in.
Someone hears out telling us something. I'm sure of it.
Or something's just not yet known. And Kabishi, with Colton's words back in his study, echoing in his head things around the items left by his wife and contaminants and the restuffed pillow, slowly steps over to the bed and he'd like to investigate the pillows that she sleeps on to, one, try and identify which one may have been the restuffed pillow that she slept on every night, and then if he's able to find that, to investigate it, to see if he might be able to ascertain any sort of contaminant that might be left over.
Oh, an investigation check for me.
That is a 15.
15. You approach the head of the bed, and it's immediately evident that there are no pillows. And even looking around the room, you don't see any pillows anywhere. You make your way around the room, and even on the windowsill, there is a cushion. It's a windowsill large enough that a child could sit on it. And the cushion is on the floor next to the windowsill. But nothing that would match the bedding that you see scrabbled at the bottom of the bed. And since you're standing at the window looking out, you see that this window looks out the back of the house, and there is a small paddock with 8 or 9 mafile cordoned in, little an oversized hen house in which they can take shelter, and mafile down and feathers, along with droppings and bits of feed, are scattered across the floor in the paddock. The pillows are missing.
Kabishi stands by the window next to this windowsill, looking down at this paddock and watching those roosting maphiles. They plod around, scratching at the floor, and his cogs begin to turn in an curious manner. He'll spin around to Fodmap. How much do you know about maphiles?
Scratch.
How high can they jump? Or fly? Can they fly? Haven't we ever see them run?
Not quite fly per se, but I hear a trained one can get quite some air.
It does sort of look like the ramblings of an animal in here, no?
Yeah.
A bit of a stretch.
Yeah, but none of it fit for the door either.
True.
Not a full grown. But make an easy getaway.
That's true enough too.
Or find distraction. Give me one real noise.
Yeah, you'd hear a maphile if they were in here for sure. Or even out there.
Even as you say that, you watch out the window as a small swarm of floating yellow mamu. They've taken the shape almost like the airy heads of dandelions. drifting on the wind start to scatter down into the Maphile paddock, and the Maphile peck up at the yellow Mamu. They kind of float up into the air with the momentum of the pecks and playfully dance back down in the wind before being pecked again by the Maphile.
I think the spirits come here often.
Well, we are in Sentoki, and, the yellow Mamu love animals especially, so I'd suppose they do.
Hey, well, you heard the talks, haven't you?
Mamu attacks. I've investigated a couple of those myself, and, you'd know. I mean, everyone you talk to, it's, you're gonna see the signs, or at least it's difficult not to encounter the Mamu when they attack, unless
it's just one.
Could be.
Somehow made its way in.
Could be quick enough in and out.
This feels, though, I don't know. In looking around the room, as one holistic view, trying to almost zone out and just see everything in one lens. And yet again, just as before downstairs, try and piece together the motion of this destruction. If I can see a path through the room where it might have began, as if tracing the growth of the flame.
You can roll either an investigation or a survival check.
And we'll go for investigation. And then an 11.
It's difficult to get a sense in the chaos left behind throughout the room of any particular route through that chaos, what might have led from one bit of destruction to the next, but as you're looking at the direction that things seem to have been thrown in or discarded in, it does look like everything is moving away from the center of the room, which would be the bed.
You hear, Kabishi? And Fodmap stands at the foot of the bed. It feels like here. This is the captain's will. You can feel it all coming from here.
Kabishi moves over towards where Fodmap is standing and tries to see what he can see and nods his head. Aye. It all came from here, didn't it? And he's gonna glance his eyes around the floor inside this mess. And again, thinking back to Colton's words, try and look to see if the remains of these torn letters from Winry's mother still remain.
Roll a perception check for me.
That's a 12.
You see no sign of any papers or letters on the floor. You look under the bed for the first time as you're scouring the floor. And there are a few bits of toys and some beads that have clearly rolled under from a little craft or perhaps a bracelet. But among them you do see a little white, downy Maphile feather.
Kabishi knelt on the ground and seeing this will stretch his arm under the bed, grab that downy white feather and present it towards Fodmap.
Don't call you Maphile.
I think it's time we talk to Wingley.
Yes. Yeah, let's.
And make strong movements to exit the room towards where we believe the nursery is.
And the stocky Monstrum Guardians Guild member acknowledges your exit and stands to attention at the door.
Thank you, once again. We're just heading to young Winry now.
There are a few guards in there as well.
That's fine. Thanks.
Bingo.
And there's no guard at the door, but as you open it, there are 4 guards, one in the corner, every corner of this room, watching a small Monstrum girl, Winry. Auburn hair, not brushed today, in a simple, pale cream dress, sat in the middle of the room with all sorts of childlike art implements. This room is a nursery, but it's filled mostly with paints and crayons and pencils, and scribbled on many of the papers are simple but nearly legible mock records with added illustrations. In the very center of all of it, clearly a little self-conscious of the guards in the room, cuddling to her left cheek with one arm, a pillow, and holding a crayon in her right hand. Winry looks up at you with misty, concerned eyes.
I look over, just to steel myself, briefly, at Fodmap, and look back to Winry. Hello, Winry. I hope we're not disturbing you. How are you doing?
She visibly retreats within herself and pulls the pillow that she'd been cuddling to her face down onto her chest and makes herself small as she wraps her body around it, dropping the crayon to the floor.
I'll keep a little bit of distance and slowly drop myself to a knee. Not in a fast manner at all. My name's Fodmap. This here is my friend, Kabishi.
Taking Fodmap's lead, he's gonna drop right to the ground slowly, keeping some distance back, and seeing himself some feet away from Winry on the floor. I like your drawings. They're very colourful. Do you like to draw?
She nods weakly.
Have you got a favourite one?
She shakes her head.
It must be hard to choose, eh? So many good ones. Maybe your dad is a teacher. You must have so much fun doing it.
Both of you roll a straight charisma check for me. Treating this like you're giving each other the help action will take the higher of either roll.
That's a 10 in total for him.
And only a 7 for Fodmap.
She looks around at the drawings, some of which are pinned to the wall, most of which are on the floor around her. Just shrugs a little before turning slightly away from you, picking up a pencil, and lifting the pillow back up to her face, beginning to just kind of doodle and scribble on an empty patch of some parchment near her. Roll me a perception check, both of you.
$18.
16.
Both of you notice as she turns and unfurls her body from around the pillow that she had cuddled close. This white pillow has very colorful stitching and lace. So colorful and so bright, in fact, that it seems to match the iridescent glow of the cravat you saw around Colton's neck downstairs. But all of the stitching along the edges of the two sheets, as well as the embroidery and lace that decorates both sides of the pillow, is made of this same fabric.
That is a beautiful pillow. How colorful. I think it was your mother's. Is that white? Is that right, Winry?
She turns her head sharply towards you and cuddles the pillow closer towards her chest. A nod.
I know this is a little presumptuous to ask of me, Winry. But for just a moment, would you mind if I took a look? I promise I'll give it back. As soon as I'm done, I'll stay right here. You can see me.
She looks down at it and looks up at you. Roll me a persuasion check.
It's a 10.
She turns it and looks at it on her lap, and then cuddles it all the more enthusiastically.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay. It reminds you of her, doesn't it?
She nods.
You can feel her warmth. Can smell her still.
She nods more enthusiastically.
It's silly. Something like a pillow or a napkin can bring so much of a person to the forefront.
She keeps nodding slowly. She leans the pillow on her lap and strokes it.
Your mother must have been very pretty. Very pretty. I'm sure you're just like her. Yeah.
She shrugs a little.
It's okay to feel bad. And Fodmap starts visibly trembling during this conversation. But sometimes we just have to let it come out. Even big monster like me. So when you put her down there, just for 1 second, I won't touch it. Just let some of that bad out.
Winry sees you shaking and clearly looks at you with some concern. She looks at the pillow and looks to your shaking hand and reaches out and puts her small hand on top of yours.
Thank you, Winry. And with his other hand, he'll pull it out of his pocket. Scrunched up in there's this rather tatty, quite moist-looking green handkerchief. Quite a large one, compared to her at least. And he just scrumples it out. And a very tight fist just drops it onto the floor in front of him. That there holds some of my bad.
Winry takes her hand off of yours and puts her hand on the little handkerchief on the floor and pushes the pillow to sit next to it, with her hand on that too, and looks at them, and then looks up at you.
I think you might be better at this than me. And he'll signal Kabishi to come and sit next to him. I'm trying to nudge him to try and say some things as he's losing the control to speak too well.
Kabishi, somewhat taken aback, moved just ever so slightly closer towards Fodmap, looking at him and over at Winry, and these two things there on the ground, this napkin and this pillow. And now slightly closer, just while he has the opportunity, he wants to really stare at this stitching and this iridescence, trying to ascertain what is going on with whatever knowledge he has of Brightstone technology, to determine whether this pillow is affecting this young lady in any way, and what way it might possibly be doing so.
Roll an Arcana check.
That's a 15 in total.
You stare intently at the pillow, and the particular color, the brightness, it looks like completely normal, though thin and finely crafted, raw Brightstone. Purely decorative. But as you stare at the pillow for some time, as Fodmap and Winry speak, you see that despite Winry's hand being completely still and resting on it, there is not just a glow, but some movement within the pillow.
A distinct movement I recognize in that moment.
Something inside the pillow.
Kabishi is going to close his eyes very briefly. Take a short, sharp breath. Look to Winry. He's gonna put his hand out. Not quickly, but firmly onto the pillow. Looking Winry in the eyes, he's going to say, "I'm sorry. I need to take this now." He's going to pull the pillow towards himself. And he's going to prise the stitching open, with force immediately there to discover the source of the movement.
Winry is quite panicked as you pull it away, but is entirely incapable of preventing you taking it with any of her strength. And a small squeak of distress escapes her lips as you tear the seams of the pillow. As you do so, feathers, white and downy, maffile down, puff up into the air around you. You feel almost like a wind is moving within it. Something that doesn't quite feel solid, but certainly animated within. And as it moves, it's somewhat unsettling. You hold the bottom of the pillow and it tilts and falls, and downy feathers fall out into the air and the ground beneath it. And then with a very light thud, a very shrunken and slightly twisted yellow Mamu hits the floor. And Winry is taken aback. After a moment of stillness, it floats up into the cloud of downy feathers, slowed and atrophied, but fading slowly towards the window and away from the bright stone stitching of its pillow prison.
Nothing safe. And I'll pull Winry's hand, sit on top of mine, gently steering her towards the back of me, and gently placing myself between her and this Mamu.
As you do that, the Mamu bumps up gently against the window. The guard nearest it looks from the Mamu in the window towards you, takes a step towards the window.
Yes, open it.
He opens it, and the wind carries both the downy feathers that are still in the air and the Mamu out into the open air.
Looks over to Winry. It'll be okay now, Winry. I'm sorry we had to do that, but...
She's crying into Fodmap's back.
I'll lip to Kabishi. Let me out. With a very confused look upon my face. And then looking down towards the child again. And then begin looking in the faces of the guards. Are they as shocked as ours seem to be?
Baffled. They are looking between each other and at you both, hoping that you know more what's going on than they do.
I'd point at just one of the ones closest to the door. You, there. Get the nanny, now.
Hi. He runs downstairs, and you hear the slight protests coming from clearly the kitchen, as Senza, against her will, but really acquiescing, comes up the stairs, still holding a ladle as she walks through the door. What? Oh dear, what happened to your pillow, darling? What's going on?
Senza, please, take Winry to a safe place. She is quite upset.
We need to go and speak with her father.
Of course, don't worry, darling. I can fix the pillow. This simple sewing. Come. She cuddles Winry, who rushed towards her the moment she was in the room. Come help me with the cooking. Come, it's okay. She takes her downstairs.
Kabishi looks to Fodmap with a shake of his head towards the door, begins walking to insinuate he'd like a small chat aside, alone.
And I take a moment before turning around and scoop up that little green handkerchief back into my pocket and follow along. I'll be damned.
Like nothing I've ever seen before. Somehow, some way, that trapped Mamu, it was making an impression on the dreams of the young girl, I'm guessing.
Somehow communicating with it. Or feeling it, maybe.
Right. Well, regardless of exactly what was happening, I guess. Well, Fodmap, you helped her let the bat out.
Never all goes. Anyway, Colton, his cravat. He made it. It might be something similar. We should go. Let him know.
Kabishi puts a hand on the back of his colleague. You did a good job in there.
Thanks.
And he proceeds to walk down the stairs towards Colton's office.
Colton is stood outside of his office, having heard some of the commotion, especially of Senza going up the stairs. What's going on? You found something? Found someone?
Something, yes, I suggest you sit down, sir.
Tell me immediately.
I suggest you sit down, sir.
Come inside.
Thank you. When we get in there, this time I will sit opposite him. We need to see your cravat, sir.
He runs his fingers over the smooth fabric.
And I'm sorry to say this is not a request.
He roughly pulls it up over his head, catches on his horn for a moment, and unfastens it there and throws it onto the table in front of him. What is the meaning of this?
Kabishi will pick it up from the table and begin to ruffle through it, searching for anything.
It's a small piece of cloth. No roll required. Doesn't contain anything.
I think we're okay.
But what risk do you think this might pose? What?
Handing it back to him. I don't know how to explain this. There was a mamu in your daughter's pillow, trapped by the bright stone thread.
In the pillow?
Yes.
I know. I wouldn't believe it.
What?
We all saw it. You were meant to.
What could that have to do with anything? What?
You must have heard. You keep all the records. Numbers down lately. The Mamu attacks.
Yes. But not many round here.
Well, one. Specifically. Right. In here.
Yes, out west. I did hear about that.
Trapped as it were in... Certainly still would have had enough force to move that cage of its around the room.
You think that this was a Mamu?
We believe so. Yes.
And it's gone now.
It has left. We have allowed it to escape.
But why would you do that? There are more Mamu. They hang around in the Mafile pen all the time. We risk.
They will be fine, sir. They will be fine. It was simply trapped and agitated. As you may or may not know, Mamu are particularly susceptible.
Yes, they use Brightstone to prevent them entering settlements out to the west. I'm well aware.
I can imagine it was quite distressed, and Mamu in distress, well, they can cause a lot of trouble, as we've already stated, and I'm sure you know.
Yes. It's been... This creature has been in my daughter's bed. We stuffed it here only 3 days ago.
Who stuffed it, sir?
Senza. She was some of the down from the Mafau pen.
That would make sense. The yellow Mamu, they look like they enjoy hanging around the Mafile pen. She could have picked it up without even knowing.
I see.
Safe to say, there are no scary men breaking into your house and trying to serve some sort of vendetta. I think not only are you likely not to be bothered, I think your daughter will probably sleep a little better at night.
Well, I think I may keep a few extra men around just in case, but I hope you are quite right, and should you prove to be, I will send my recommendations and commendations to your superiors for your help here today.
Mr. Colton. I'm sorry, but it must be said. I do need to apologize on behalf of some of our fellow guardians. There were no nasty men in your house, but there are some less than great ones gardening. You don't need them. They're only here to take your money. And the real guardians do their job. That'll be enough.
You assure me of this?
I'll spend the night myself if I have to.
All right. On your reputation be it. I will pay the men off for the day. And thank you. I think I had best,
See your
see to my
daughter.
daughter.
That's right.
And just one last thing, sir. Ask Winry for me. If she can hear it anymore.
I will.
Bring it. We'll be outside.
He steps out, walks towards the kitchens, where you overhear conversation between him and Senza. But you stand together briefly in his office, feeling quite confident that your job here is done.
I don't quite feel satisfied.
No. Well, I suppose in a way there wasn't exactly the kind of mystery to be solved that we expected.
No.
But you should. If nothing else, I think you truly helped a young girl feel a little bit more heard and seen than she probably has in a while.
And you did. And your young eyes. I wouldn't have seen it. I wouldn't have seen it.
Well then, it's a good thing we're a team.
Yeah. Alright, let's get some air.
Aye.
It's really wet in this room. Creaks himself off that chair, accidentally scraping it across the floor as he gets up.
As you both walk out through the front doors, you glance back around the main building, and sure enough, right there in the Maphile pen, the Mamu, still playfully taunting the Maphile, and swooshing around in the downy feathers collected in the paddock. Innocent as can be.
You've been listening to The Kingdom Sleeps, with Andrew Bond as Kabishi, Tom Tysoe as Fodmap, and Brandon Kemeny as your story master. Please remember to subscribe and follow for more bedtime adventures, and if you'd like to help support the amazing artists who make this show possible, you can find links to our Patreon in the description below. Thank you for listening, and good night.